I want to use the next 2 hours to just, then I would face everybody's questions and we'll take it from there. I'll always, obviously, when I teach at some point, I'll ask questions, but so that you don't disrupt this train of thoughts. So I was sharing my screen and I was asking the question. I was saying advanced features like rebasing, enhanced commit history and stuff. So pull request. I think I'm going to show you guys how to do a pull request. And Tolu and Moses, you would also share your screen if you can. I mean, just to give perspective from a developer point of view. Moses, please, while we're on this call, please find a repo. It doesn't have to be anything, I won't say any rubbish, but a repo that we can clone so people can understand how to clone and also understand the difference between cloning a private repo and a public repo. What? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you. Can hear you.
Okay. Moses, can you hear me? Please acknowledge if you can hear me. Okay, I don't think Moses is with us. Okay, Tolu, please find a repo, or better still, somebody else should find a repo. Some people that have claimed they are comfortable with Git to find a repo that we can clone. I want to show people how to clone a repo. That's something we must do today. And also maybe how to clone a repo, how to fork a repo, and just general best practices of Git and how to show them how a webhook works, show them how to add secret environment variables. These are things we will use when we go to things like Terraform. Do you understand? Creating environment variables, secret, and all. So I'm bringing up all these things not necessarily because I feel like you don't know it, but I'm bringing it up because of people I think might not have actually known all these things. So this is just a brush thing. So I think I made yesterday, I explained what a working directory is. A working directory is practically, in Mr. Celestin example, a working directory is where your code is basically, you look on your local, you have your working directory, you have a staging area, and then you have your local repo. So on your local repo, you have a working directory, you have a staging area, you have a commit area. I explained this thing yesterday. The working directory is where the codes are, basically like, a working directory is quote unquote when the code has not been committed. A staging area is where the code has been added so that the code is tracked by Git. Then a commit area is where the code has not been committed. You know, so the difference between a staging area and a commit area is strictly because the code has been added into a track list. And the major difference between a working area is when the code is not being tracked by Git at all. It's just showing that it is there, but it's not being tracked. If you remember when we ran the Git status, it will show you the codes that are being added and all that juicy stuff. So that's the major difference between. So if somebody asks you what's the difference between a working area, a staging area, and a commit area, you should be able to explain in details. I will say it again. A working area is simply the area of the code in Git where the codes are not being tracked or where your files are not being tracked. A staging area is where the code has been added when you write the git add and the file name, which is what we did yesterday. If you can remember, when we wrote the command git add and the file name. Look, I can go reference to when we add it. So typically you write git add, then the file name. Typically write this command, you understand, and then the file name. That's one way to do it. Also, there's a way to do git add dot space dot. I will explain that one later, and all those kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands this. A lot of people use Git, but they don't know these differences. So when somebody asks you what's the difference between a working directory, a staging directory, and a commit area, a working area, staging area, and a committed area, you should be able to say the clear differences. You should also be able to say the difference between Git add and what Git add and what Git add and the file name does. I think I would practicalize that so it makes sense to you guys. I'm sure the developers already know that part, but I'm sure I'm going to do that part for today. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get our hands dirty. I'm going to share my screen, Visual Studio Code. Let me pull this up. Pop. I'm coming 1 second. I'm looking for a code I can pull for you guys so that's let me see. Awesome. Okay. So can everybody see my screen? I started this project, yes. I I started this project yesterday. This is what I wanted to show yesterday, but I mean, I wanted to just make a point yesterday. So we talked about all the git ignore and all those good stuff. Now, is everybody with me? Just a sticker is fine. All right, awesome. Okay, Moses, you are here. Please find a repo. Find an external repo, something that so that they don't say it was planned. And find a repo that we can clone. I'm sure you know that to find a repo that we can clone, most likely it has to be public. So find a repo that we can all clone. You just share the repository here, and I'll show everybody how to clone a repo and all those good stuff. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to start again by explaining everything. So let me clear it so that there's no awesome. So let me just clear. Now I'm not running any big thing or anything that nobody knows. So I'm gonna just as you can see, I have a GitHub story 1, I have a GitHub story 2, nothing complex. I don't even have HTML file for people who say that one is confusing. It's just basic stuff here. So because of this, I'm going to do the normal process. So before I even start, let me first do git status. And you can see that I'm on a branch called Joseph's branch. Do you understand? Nothing to be committed. Now, one of the things after going through the video yesterday, I noticed we did not speak about is called a branch. I think I should even talk about that first before I even start going far. For people who are on the call who don't know what a branch is like you have a typical tree. A tree has branches, and that is exactly what Git is. Git is a version control. Now, I'm going to create a typical example. So let's say me and Moses are working on a project together. Let's call that project. Okay, let me go back. Let me go back to the master branch so that when I start making all the changes, it makes sense to everybody. So me and Moses are working on a project. Let me do the checkout. What am I doing? Where am I? Sorry. One second. I want to check out into the master branch so that just want to. Okay. Okay, so git status. Awesome. Okay. So now I'm in the master branch. So I want to tell you a story and just go along with it so you guys understand. So me and Moses are working on a project. I'm going to call that project. Let me call it. I'm going to call the project Joseph and Moses story. Let me just call it Joseph and Moses book, whatever. Let's call it Moses book. Now, me and Moses are writing a documentary about whatever. We are writing so much. From Moses' wealth of knowledge, he has so much knowledge. He's writing, and do you understand? Now, typically, I'm writing the book, and I'm working on this project, and I want Moses to participate in it. By best practice, what it means that typically when a new person joins your team, the person creates a branch. What that means is the person takes a copy of your existing version code or software as it is. It's what clones it, has a copy of their own, then they can work and make necessary changes without affecting the existing one. I'll take it again. So a branch is in context is just taking an existing version of the software or whatever you're working on and making so you can make changes on it without affecting the existing one. That is what a branch is in context. There's no big English to it. Do you understand? So it's not like so let us say now I'm Joseph here, and I want to work with maybe I'm board, Moses has come to my company. Moses wants to get the very first thing, usually a best standard will do. This is the project we're working on. Let's say we're working on this Git project now. The first thing Moses will do is typically to create the branch. And let's say to create the branch, it will do something like Git branch. He will now call it. Let's say he will call it Moses branch. Let's call it Moses branch. We will call it Moses branch. Now, he can use Git branch to just confirm, and you can see their list of branch. Now, he has created all these branches are available. So Moses, what he needs to now do is he needs to switch into Moses branch, and the way we're going to do that is simply by just saying git checkout the branch. So most typically just do, because he obviously doesn't want to, he should not work on the master branch, because master branch is where all the stories are. Because if he does any mistake here, anything he wants to try out, he cannot come and be playing here, because if anything goes wrong, I mean, it's bad practice. So the typical thing he will do is he will come to do git checkout, and then he will check out into his branch, which already called Moses. It's not coming. Moses branch. Moses branch. How do I spell that correctly? Moses branch. Awesome. So now you can say switch to Moses branch. So if you do a git branch, you should see the star on. You should see the star. Awesome. So you see now we are switching to Moses branch. So nothing significant has happened, just that Moses has created the branch. Moses has a copy of this branch. So now Moses can now come here now, add, and now say, okay, you can now inform me, you can now come and add a new block and say, I am Moses, a man with plenty wealth of knowledge, or whatever he wants to say. I mean, just so do you understand? A branch in context is okay. So yeah, he can say whatever he wants to say, and now once he does that, he can check in his changes. It's a way for both of us to work on what's the word now, on projects. Now, I did say yesterday that these file types can be anything. It can be anything you want to add. So if we are go find the project, you can add any different kind of file type. You can add JSON, you can add HTML, you can add JSON, you can add TXT, you can add, for those of you that know Jenkins, you can add a Jenkins file, you can add a Docker file, you can add any kind of file type extension you want. You can actually add the PDF, you can add it. I mean, so do you understand? It's just basically a version control that helps you store your information. Any question so far? Okay, thank you, Moses. Okay, thank you. Any questions so far by anybody? Adidokun? Okay. So I'm gonna go back. Okay. So Moses keeps writing on his project, and then Moses now will get another person, and the person also wants to work on the project. The person obviously will come and say, let's say the person's name is Caroline. Caroline will get on the team and say, okay, Joseph, you have been working so hard, she will now come out. Let's say normally the typical thing I'm supposed to check out into the master branch again. So I'll do git checkout. I'm just emphasizing the use of master branches to people, so that people understand why we use branches. It's not because of any. I've taught the master. So let's say Caroline came, joined the team, and Caroline wants to make certain changes. The typical thing again, she's going to come, okay, we'll now do git checkout. Space Caroline. Let's call the Caroline branch. So when you join ethical tech team, you will see on GitHub, you will see plenty of those branches. And do you understand? Now, from my research and from general experience, some people or some teams typically name branches. Sorry, some people or some teams typically name branches after. Anyways, I'll say something. I'll fix this. Okay, from my experience, some people do not typically name their branch after their developers. I mean, there are different practices. Some people, you will typically see things like sign up page, sign in page, let's say payment gateway page, like payment gateway branch. What else? So some people's mode of operation is they name branches by features. Some people name it by modules. Some people name it by, I mean, it is like I said, it is structure you typically meet on ground or whatever. It is a preference of is of preference. So you can actually choose. You can actually force that one down a lot of people's throat. So you need to just, as you meet the team, now say you go to take the work with them, they go. So do you understand? So everyone know. Oh, okay, not created. I did, Okun. What did you say? No, just drop it in the chat, yeah. Just drop in the chat. I didn't hear what you said. Anyway, so I think everybody understands what we are talking on for Git. I don't know why this thing is showing that thing, but I'll probably look at it and see. I don't know why it's showing. It says Caroline branch did not match any files known to Git. I don't think this is right, but it shouldn't be trained. Let's confirm where we are, sir. We're in the Git branch. We're in Git branch. We're in master. So you shouldn't complain about anything like this. You should not. Let me see. Git. I don't think this is actually correct. Anyway, so I'm sure people will have this. I'm sure you guys will not have this error, but you shouldn't have this error. Typically should not. Anyway, so I think that's basically on branches. So you can just create branches based on your needs, and then you move on from there. Like I said, depending on the context, you can create branches per feature or based on other things you need. So I'm going to move on. I think the next thing I really wanted to talk about yesterday was okay, so we've done Git initialized, Git has been initialized. Okay, so I remember yesterday we talked about Git status. I think I use this command a lot. This is something you would typically use on your day-to-day. Okay, I see why. So we haven't even committed this guy. Probably that's why. That's most likely why. Okay, so in this branch, I created this file. So for those who don't remember, this is typically the flow when you want to add to Git. And so you would do a Git add space, and the name of the file is Joseph tab. Now I'm pressing tab because I already know the Git has the file. If you do not, so when you do typical Git tab, this is now. If I did Git status again, you can see it's showing green. It means that the file is now being tracked by this thing. So, and it's specifying the branch, and you can do Git restore. I'm going to show you. Let's say these changes were made. I'll talk about that as we go on later. I'll talk about that as we go on later. Okay, so I think so now the next thing we're going to now do is we're going to commit the code. So let's say typically a lot of developers don't like doing this thing, right? So, and I honestly don't blame them, because most of the times developers are not the ones that merge or have to revert code, so they don't see the need to do a typical code update. What I mean by that is, so in a lot of developers here, I'm very sure Moses is very guilty of this one. They do not give very useful commit message. What I mean by this is, so you see this git commit -m. What did we do here? We created, so the normal way we should say is created Joseph and Moses book called book. So this thing, it doesn't really matter. It's not case sensitive. Now, this, from my experience, should be very what's the word now? It should make sense. But if you go through a lot of companies and this thing updates, you will notice that all you see is updates, my updates of the update and dates. I'm very sure that's what this guy used to do, Moses. But from my experience, especially when you have to fix rollbacks and stuff, this thing really comes in very handy. It really does come in very, very handy. So I'm just saying for everybody here, please try and adopt it. Me, I'm very guilty of it too, but I'm trying to adopt. So generally just try to give clean update messages, whatever you did. And something else you should also try and do is try to how do I put this? Okay, so imagine I created a file. Let's say I call this file Caroline. Let's say I call this file Caroline file. Let's say Caroline.html. HTML. I did tab, and I did let's say I did Caroline docs, Caroline doc. Documents, and I came here and I said this is projects. Now I've made a change now. So let's say I've made a change like this now. And I also now, in this thing, yeah, I also now, what's the word now? I also now created another file. For instance, I called it Nuhu's file. Nuhu's file.html. And I called this Nuhu docs. Nothing driven. Documents. And I said this is this project. Okay. And I saved. And I go back to Caroline. And I save. Now, if I go to Git and I did Git status, I would see two of these files. What I mean by making clean commits in context, all these two commits are together. A typical developer that I know would just do git add. Now, this is what I want to show you. Now, if I do git add dot like this, it's going to add all my changes. What I mean by that, it will add Caroline and Nuhu's file together in one commit. You guys understand me? But because I'm trying to follow best practice, as everybody here should endeavor to do, the better thing to do, you would add them separately. because you did two different things. Moses, I know you're coming for me, but I'm just new changes added. Now waiting at the always need. I feel like you're very guilty of this the way you're coming. Anyway, so don't know. I'm coming to Caroline's band. Okay, so let me if I do my train of thought. Okay, so what I will do now is like I was explaining. So the difference between git add dot, this one now, if I do dot now, it will add all the changes. In fact, let me show you guys. So if I do git add dot, if I do git status like this, what is command now? If you notice that it has checked in all the commands, which is not exactly right practice. Do you understand? So what the typical thing to do now would now be, let me create an alpha so that it makes sense. So this thing sticks. Let me do to lose file. I'm stressing on this thing because it's not very good, and I don't blame them because they know they send. But when you enter this field, now you go, what do they call it? The prayer become the prayer. Let me call it to lose file to HTML. So let me call this guy to lose file.
I think his network is bad again. Oh, is it back? So basically what he's saying is now let's say you have made a change to a file. Instead of you writing the change, whatever you do, let's say you remove a button as a developer, let's say you remove a button from a web page. Instead of writing new changes, I remove a button, so and so. Most of developers like me, I will just put new changes added. I will not specify what I have done, and that is wrong. That's what he's saying. Because if you keep saying new changes added or just added new changes and you're not specifying exactly what you change in this field, in this new field that we're trying to enter, DevOps, it may cause a lot of problems. So what he's trying to say is that we should actually give our commit a reasonable name, a reasonable word, so that when the other person working on the same code, I mean the same work, gets there, you will see the commit and say, okay, this is what he actually did. Okay, actually changed a button. Okay, actually did it. But if you are using new changes added, you will not even know what exactly you mean by new changes added, and you are giving him problem. So basically, it's a good practice. That's what he's saying. So I think that is what he's trying to say. And I wasn't seeing his screen before he went, but I think he was trying to explain how to. Has he done the pull or is just the clone? Okay, has he done the clone? If he has done the clone, can I say a thumbs up so that I would know what to talk about? Has he done the git clone?
No, he has not done the clone.
Oh, okay. So let me try and share my screen. I have a lot of things on my system. I don't know how fast it will be. Can you see my screen? Oh, yes. All right. So let me go to this. Can you see my screen, everybody? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
All right. So let me go to this link Moses pasted us. So there are different ways to actually clone. So people use Git bash. Lately, I think I've been using Git bash. So this is a public repository. That's why we can see it. So if you are going to use Git bash, this is what you're going to do. You're going to come to this code. From still loading. Is it back? Not yet. You're going to go to this code, then you're going to copy this thing. Can you see this code? You copy it, then you come to your browser. You can have a file, you open a file somewhere or whatever. But let's say I want to do it. I'll just say git bash here, and I will write git clone, and I will paste. So I will hit enter. So you can use it saying cloning, and if you can see, just added this file. Look at it. So this file now, once it's done, you can actually open it. That means I have a version of this file of this stuff on my system. You can see public all this thing now. Let me try and open it on my system. You see it. I think it's a very large repository. So that's why it's taking its time. Once it gets to 100% here, then you will be able to see it. But even without that, you can see it's already having the file here. It's downloading those files inside. Is it back? It's not back. So another way to actually do it, let's just wait for this one to go. But let me show you another way to do it. Another way to clone. I think there's a way to clone it from this place. I'm not just used to cloning from this place. It's been a while, but let me see. This space clone SSH git clone. All right, you can actually clone from your. You see, it's done now. So look at the whole file. If you look at this, thing, you see this is public. This is it. This is SSL. This is it. So this is basically the file. So now I can actually open this thing in Visual Studio Code and see the code that was written in there. So this thing will not run down my system. So now we can actually open this file and see whatever code it is. Now that's the first way. Let me try and open it before now show you the second way to clone a repository. So you navigate to your desktop, and this is the name of the repo. You can see and select repo. So if you look at it very well, you can see that we have public, we have srcc, we have git ignore, we have this. So basically, let's say now I enter into one of these codes. Now this is it, and let's say I made a change. Now we have an image. Is it back?
Are you kidding me? I was God, dude, this thing. Another good. Hey, oh no. I think what I need to do is I need to share one screen and join the meeting on another screen.
What's the issue?
I was sharing my screen and nobody was saying anything. You know, I will write code and come back. So.
Oh, okay.
So I was wondering why nobody was saying anything, but I figured. Oh. Okay, please. Where did you guys stop? So I know how to.
I was telling them what you were saying, that it's good to actually name your commit with exactly what you did, not like just put new changes added or stuff like that, so that you don't cause problem for
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tolu. Okay, so guys, so just looking at my screen now, I have been able to commit. I've been able to create new changes, created new files for Caroline, Tosunuhu, and all those great stuff. So what I'm practically saying is once you make a change, try to commit the change. I know it's possible. Sometimes it's possible you're not done with the change, but or better see you stage it. That's another feature Git has. Git has all these features, and the reason it has is so that you keep your commit history and Git history as clean as possible. Because the whole point of Git is so that you can roll back to a particular version of when this software was. So let me give you a typical example. So let's say your software is working, and for instance, now one day somebody now come, for example, now Moses come to the office, now his girlfriend now annoy him one day, now come and scatter everybody Git, scatter the code. Those are things Git will help you with. Git can help you roll back to a particular version of when Moses was happy and he was pushing code well. Do you understand? That is a typical day of what the vision of what Git would help you with. So that's typically what it is. So please, I need questions. I feel like I've digressed so much. I want everybody to ask me questions here because I now want to start showing them the remote repositories that I have, Git remote stuff. So does everybody know the difference between the remote rep? What's up? What's up? Adedo, Alpha.
Yeah, you were trying to explain something when you created, I think, movies and each other file. That if you want to add it, you use the git add. Then when you put dots, you go to add the keys together. So you want to add them separately. So what is the command line?
Okay, like I said, so I'm going to do that thing again. Look at my screen. So let me use your name now. So let me say I don't have. So if you check my Git history now, I don't have anything. So let's say Git status. You see, there's nothing. I don't have anything. Nothing is being tracked. Let me go and create a file for you. Let's say, let me call it Mr. Ade. I don't know whether I can. Okay, let me go and copy your name, Mr. Adeduko. Okay, Mr. Adeduko. So give me a second. Rename. So let's say Mr. Adeduko.html. I'm going to enter. Now, so what I'm going to do is this file. I'll just save that like this. Now, so if I do Git status now, Mr. Adedo, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
So now you see your file now. So I want to add this thing. Git is on track. Now let's say I want to add this your file now. Let's say I do Git. So the first command I'll run is Git add. Then I will type the first letter of the file I added, or the file I modified. Are you with me? So I would, let's say A, and I'll press tab. You see that it has brought out the file name. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Do you understand? So if I do this, Mr. Adeduko, so if I do git add dots, then A, so the file name is A. If I do A down tab, it will bring out this dot / kiniko you are seeing, because it's going to give. So the flow is git add then the file name. But if I just did git and add and space add like this, if there were more than 4 files here, it will add everything. Do you understand? Mr. Adedoku, you seem so like typically what I mean is in context. So let me I'm not sure you still doesn't understand what I mean. So let me add another file. Let's say test file.
No, I understand. I was giving you control.
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, awesome. So that's typically what it means. So you typically just add that, and let me add that. Let me say git add a day. So I'm gonna git status and then status, and we should be good. So let me just commit it. Let me say git commit -m added equals 1. Please note that this commit message, you can spell it, it's not case sensitive. So anyhow you spell it, I won't say you don't spell it anyhow, but it's not case sensitive. It's not like other command, other this and that. Do you understand? So even if I decide to use small letter, big letter, nobody actually cares. So let me do that. See, so it has saved. So if I check my Git status, my working directory should be clean. Okay, awesome. So do you remember yesterday when we were talking about have you added the remote repository? So one of the very basic command you must know is when you create a repository, this is your local repository. Obviously, we're working on it. But when you join a team, for example, now Caroline joined the team. She's working. She now wants to find out if a remote repository has been added or created. Okay, added, not exactly created, because if it's not created, it cannot be added. So the very regular command people use, and this guy used it yesterday. So I'm just explaining it again so that people know. You do git remote -v. So now I'm going to highlight it. This is now going to bring us to the next part of the course. You can see my repository origin, HTTPS, that's the protocol /github.com/ this is my GitHub name, then / the project name, project/repository. This is the GitHub. It is fetching from here, and it is fetching from here. What I mean fetch, will come to what fetch is, and will come to what, and when we pushed yesterday, it's pushing to here. Any questions before I push? Because I want to push the code now. My GitHub repository. So I'll open my GitHub so we can all see what's that being pushed. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to continue and go and push my code. Okay. So now I have a remote repository. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push my code, and I've authenticated that my GitHub is working. And then I'm going to come back and show you a couple of other things about Git staging and all. So the command for pushing, we spoke about this in yesterday. It's a very basic command. Git push origin master. I want to see if I can, so that I'll put it in the chat so then all these things. Baba, guy, I hope you're not. I hope you're noting all these things. What's his name? Tolu. I hope you are creating a cheat sheet. I beg, be creating cheat sheets so that these commands we can share them with everybody. Tolu, from the add file, all those things. Are you creating a cheat sheet? Or Mr. Celeste? Who else? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna push. So Git origin master, and if I type this, I should origin, and my code has been pushed. So I'm gonna go to my GitHub. Okay, 1 second. Let me open my GitHub. So I already have created my GitHub account. Okay. I'm gonna drag this part across here so everybody can see. This is my GitHub. Oh, okay. Well, that's so I'm gonna open that project. So this is the project here. Just to verify, it has been pushed. So you can see 4 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago, Caroline's file. All these are the good stuff, and blah 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 that we discussed yesterday. So any questions so far, anything about anything? Because at the end of today, everybody's going to create a GitHub repository, and they are going to create every project week. They're going to create a repo summarizing what they are learning from here, and the assignment will be uploaded to their GitHub. So all your assignment classwork, I will be marking them via GitHub. Okay, so since we're on GitHub, let me quickly show you a couple of things. So GitHub has a lot of features that a lot of people do not know about. A lot of developers do know, but not everybody knows. But I will try and walk you through them. For those of you who are new to GitHub, so this is what the interface typically looks like. It can be white, it can be black. You can change the color. I've forgotten where did you go change that color? So there's a place you can change it to white, like Mr. Celeste own. I think it's a developer thing. Most developers GitHub are black. I don't know why they don't know that. They don't know. I'm very sure this guy onto is black. Please, is there a way to enlarge the Zoom screen being projected? The lettering looks tiny from my end. Ah, okay. Oh. Well, I think I did it so much. Let me try and see. Madam Neka, tell us when it's okay. So if you see what they do now.
No, I think she should be the one to press Control minus. So Control minus will actually make your own presentation to be bold, just that you won't be able to see all those messages very well. But your own presentation will be very bold on our side. You don't need to change anything.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So what was I saying? Okay. So those who don't know GitHub, this is typical GitHub. So if you have GitHub issues, this is typically where you come and see them pull requests. I think I'm going to show you how to create a pull request. You can typically create a pull request from here. So what a pull request is like the name implies pull. A pull request is created by somebody who wants somebody to review his code. So I'm going to create a typical scenario. So let us say Tolu. I would have better way to explain it. I would have using branch, but let me just explain it that way. So Tolu is working for Mr. Adedokun, and Mr. Adedokun is the person in charge of production. Now, Mr. Adedokun does not like anybody just pushing code anyhow into the repository because it doesn't make sense. Which is typical code industry standard. Somebody must review your code. It depends. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, but somebody must review your code because there's always one-man error. There's always that is always the case. So there are cases where people will just typically come and say, okay, I wrote my code, I've pushed it. Please, I want to create a pull request so that you can review. A pull request is simply Mr. Tolu would raise a PR. It's usually called you hear PR. Raise a PR. A PR is I've written code though. Please review my code and ensure that it is production worthy. That's simply what it is.